computer, and I'm hoping everything's is hooked up right. There's a lot of little details, so I'm hoping that we're working on here. So I'm just gonna double check, make sure everything is good. I'm on the screen. It's all these little details, or everything is here. Okay, good, excellent. Okay, I think the only thing you guys are missing is all these little details.
Seeing me, so
let me just get this here. Okay, good, excellent. Okay, I think the only thing you guys are missing is all these little details.
Seeing me, so
all right, I think I got you guys now. There. You guys can probably see me now, and you can see Serjan there. So, okay, cool. All right, people, we're live. Stoked to be back again, and we're here to do a part 2. I think we blew a lot of people's minds last time. There was a lot of people who were like, what the heck is going on here? I think just like I was when I first met you, when you first took my class, really quite impressed with just how far you go down the rabbit hole, so we're going to go back down that rabbit hole some more. And Serjan, you can show and talk about some of the stuff you want because that is a personal project. It's okay to expose it.
Yeah.
I just personally like exposing things in like slowly and then having a big thing and then blow it up. But that's just the way I like to work. So if you have little snippets and stuff, maybe that would be good. So yeah, I'll leave it up to you, your discretion.
Actually, so let me connect my screen, and I'm just going to broadcast what I see.
Yeah, let's do that.
And we're just going to 1 second.
Yeah, I'll put you on Skype.
So I'm just going to share the screen with you, right? And then...
Yeah, and I'll pass it over. Boom, bam, and it's over here. Okay.
Why is it?
Got you here. Full screen goodness. So yeah, last time we were kind of almost halfway through this document, right? Talking about all this stuff. If you guys have any questions too, before we get started, if you have any questions, please let us know. Amazing Joe is going to be taking care of questions for us. So if you do have questions, make sure you just ask him, and he'll be feeding them to me throughout the course of the episode. We're going to be rocking it out for an hour long. So if there's anything you guys are curious about when we talk about it, bring it on. So there you go.
Cool. So I'm gonna. I actually want to start with showing you what I'm currently exploring with Houdini, and it's not part of it wasn't part of the presentation in the first place, but it's connected to the project that we're working on, and I just want to show you a couple explorations. As you guys this, right? This is Earth. There's certain geometries, there's certain patterns that are present in nature, and just this week, the powerful Rohan Delvey released his new training, which is how to build terrains. Wow. And I'm using his training to build certain neural networks.
Wow.
And I just want to show you one that's this one. So I have a lot of Houdini open.
Ooh, that's cool.
Yeah, so I just want to show you because I think this is, again, I said it before, his teaching style is brilliant, but also he makes it easy to not just play with parameters, but you actually become the master of parameters, and you start to art direct really complex setups. And just me following his training, I was able to build this interesting thing. And I just want to show you, because I find this really cool. Compute.
Wow.
Oh, 1 sec. What update? There you go. And you can bake those maps out, and then see it looks like a brain cell or something.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and eventually you can bake that out and maybe wrap around a sphere or wrap around any other object. But I find this really amazing.
Yeah, it's really sick. And so you're building this. You're basically creating your own height map, or is this fully adjustable? Is it based on the height map kind of setup, where you have your intense blacks and whites, and then those contrast? Or
so. This is the off-the-shelf Houdini terrain tools. Again, I just started yesterday, and the stuff that I sent you, like a short video, it's actually using those noises that are, found in the fractality of nature. And you're just using those noises to displace meshes. It's just the amount of control that you have with layering nodes and connecting those together. you can produce amazing designs. And like in the video, he shows you how to build, like craters and islands and stuff like this. Yeah, just want to show it to you guys.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I think that's really cool. And this is something that he just released?
Yeah, just like about a week ago.
Awesome. So when he releases those, you're just like, boom, you're on it, right?
Yeah, because like I was like, I always wait for him to something, because it's always practical, it's always interesting, and you can always apply it again to something you're currently doing. Which is just learning new patterns, just different, understanding design better, understanding nature better.
Awesome.
And then again, inside Houdini, like what I really wanted, I want to have one design tool that's capable to fulfill everything that I want to fulfill, and that's why I'm mostly focusing on Houdini.
That's awesome.
Okay, so we're gonna go forward.
It's great using a program that you can express yourself within, and that's the intention of these programs. Some of them do a good job, some of them do a horrible job. But that's the intention.
Houdini is not just like any other software. Like, it's not immune to bullshit, like meaning that it crashes often. At least I'm on the Mac. I don't know if you, maybe on Windows it's not. See, right now it doesn't let me. Okay, so we're going to focus on this. And so a brief overview, what we looked at last week. We just looked at Leonardo da Vinci and why he studied nature, and how studying nature made him a better artist, inventor. And I shared different books that really influenced my trajectory and my evolution as a designer. And the key findings about different ratios. And I focused mostly on the book The Power of Limits by Dochi, and also showed you guys how I studied them, and how understanding grids, understanding different ratios helps you to build a masterpiece. So today we're going to go a bit into more detail, into more practicality, and I'm actually going to focus mostly on L systems. And this is
that's the plant stuff, right?
Yes, but it's not just again, like it started as a plant, but this goes further. Originally, I think the foundation was laid by Mandelbrot, and then Lindenmayer and Prushinkevich. They took it further. So L systems is a language. And so this is the language for designing plants and cellular structures, different patterns, and so I look at it just like with grids when we talked last week. I look at it as a language. I don't look at it as a plugin. It's a language that you need to understand to be able to speak poetry, to be able to design poetry. So L System 2 has a certain alphabet, and this is you see the alphabet on the screen.
Yeah.
And we're not going to go into much detail, but I'm going to show you examples of how really starting with the basics, how to build simple shapes, going to lead you to creating really, really complex structures. So as you can see, you can build. It might look overwhelming in the beginning.
Sure.
It's not, as long as you just slow down and take one thing at a time.
How do you decipher it? Because this is an interesting angle, right? And
yes.
This is something about, explaining something that might be difficult for some people and then easy to others. How do you, when you look at this, you see it's something different, whereas the common person will go like, oh, it's math and
Yeah. So
how do you decipher it?
So I showed you at first, this is my attitude. We're going to do this. I have patience. I have everything. And then it ends to this, because I have no idea. It's so complex. So having a mentor is massively important. Otherwise a lot of headaches, and you just spit on a monitor. It's like, fuck it, I don't want to do this anymore. But it happens, right?
Yeah, you kind of have to go through that, and then once you get past it, if you can get past it, you kind of earn that right to a passage. So
yeah.
I'm just curious how you look at these pages and you decipher it, because it's almost like I can't keep bringing up The Matrix when it comes to our streams, but because I rewatched it recently and it's so cheesy, it's so bad, but it's so good though. But we know when they start to look at The Matrix in code, and then they can start to see what that code is by image recognition and compartmentalizing information. Is that how you approach these things when you look at it? Or are you approaching it in the sense where, you're just deconstructing little bits and pieces?
Deconstructing little bits and pieces, but it's massively important that the foundation is right. Otherwise, everything else, because it's always tempting. I just really want to get it fast. I really want to get it because I have a lot of passion. It doesn't work this way. The foundation needs to be there. So again, I'm going to bring Rohan Dalvi just because he's got a great course, and I'm just going to show you what he's doing in that course. He gives a really simple and really clear, very, very clear. 1 second.
No, good.
L systems.
I'm just judging you silently.
Okay, thank you. So he, because he will explain this better than I do, and he would he explains what L systems are and how they work, and basic math in terms of F means creating one line, and then actually I'm going to show you an example. I just want to show you guys to really understand it. I don't want to show an example of the alphabet because if you're not into it, it will just be massively boring to you.
Yeah.
If you're curious, he gives a really good solid start to build the plant.
I like his drawings too.
Yeah. Simple.
Cool.
And but he takes you all the way from building that to building.
We should have him on the stream sometime. He can help promote what he's doing at the same time. Just kind of.
Let's get him next week. Yeah.
I think we might be booked for the next couple of weeks, but I'd love to have him. If you want to, maybe the three of us come on. It'd be really cool just to meet him and at the same time see what he's about and stuff. So.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna show you how I started this.
Okay.
Dude, always paper.
Do you always work on paper? Because I noticed that's the same way. And I'm not sure because maybe we're a little older and we kind of come from paper world, if it's important.
I do because it just helps me to really make it really clear. I notice when I try to shortcut it or fast track it or bypass something, it always bites me in the behind. That's why I make sure that I understand everything because I'm not a mathematician. So that's why I do this one thing at a time. Okay. And dude, I even draw nodes in Houdini to be able to understand how it works. Again, this works for me because I guess this somehow gets wired in my head.
Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
So now let's show what it means. Actually, 1 second. So geometry of nature. I apologize. 1 sec. Let me just slow down. Because when I get excited, then it's like.
You should. I mean, you kind of have to have a ton of excitement about this stuff in order to go that far because you mentioned that you're not a mathematic or a mathematician.
Yeah.
But I think there's this weird thing that happens in society that we coin a mathematician as being this person that's uber geeky about knowing formulas. I don't think that, in my opinion, I think it's like Einstein said, it's like a brilliant mind's a curious mind, and I think that's really, you just gotta be curious. And I think what you're doing is you're deciphering it, finding ways of creating art from it, which is, I think it's the key. So.
I've been thinking about it because it's a big book. It has 240 pages, and if we go there's many different patterns and different formulas. When the geometry grows and then it stops and it creates a different geometry after a certain generation, and something else happens after a certain generation. It actually would be cool to distill this and make a really clean course, or maybe just a 2-hour workshop or something that just. Not include all the many details, but just give the important 20% that I required to understand this. Because for example, in the I'm just going to jump back. I'm going to show you how, in the power of limits, he talks about the spiral, right? In this book, they actually give a really nice formula how to build it using L systems, which is really practical and useful and simple. And I know that you can build the same thing using Vex or using Python, and the size of the code will be, I believe, couple paragraphs, which is plenty. In L systems, it's like one line, which is super simple. Yeah, like those kind of things.
I like the idea of workshops too. We've been talking about them a lot at the school, trying to figure out ways of creating digestible content that's enjoyable. So it's not like this like huge like 8-week course commitment thing, because that's so difficult. But we could all attend like a 2-hour workshop on a weekend or something, you know?
Yeah.
Bring on the pros and like learn from them, ask the questions, and then be a part of that, you know? So
I want to show you now the basics, some of the L systems that I've designed, and I'm going to show you the basic shapes, how I started, and how that took me to creating this, for example, because that's L systems, right? But it all starts with a plant, and you're going to see that. So really basic geometry at first. But it all starts with a plant, and you're going to see that. One sec. It actually, let me think. What would be the most effective way to do this? Actually, this would be the most effective way to do this. I'm going to move you around a little bit.
We're now in Houdini, just for people that are asking or curious. And people keep asking about the guy you mentioned earlier, about the one that's doing the amazing Houdini tutorials and stuff.
Yeah.
I can never spell his name right, so I don't want to butcher it for peeps. But I can send them a link. You just spell it out letter by letter, and I'll put it in there.
Let me go back to this one.
These streams are so sporadic, sorry.
This one, can you see it?
Okay, Rohan Dalavi. Got it. Cool.
.net, yeah, that's his website.
Awesome. Rohan Dalavi. Okay, I thought it was that, but I didn't want to butcher it, get it wrong. There you go, peeps. For those that have been asking about it, I'll send you a link to his website too. So
with L systems, what happens? You have a certain seed. You have a premise. It's like, if you look at it, what is the geometry of a seed, and how does that geometry uncoil? Let's say every day. Like it has generations. So generation means it just starts growing, and the seed has a certain formula that tells the geometry how to grow. Basically, that's in a nutshell. And you actually see that what's going to be happening if this is the foundational shape. As it grows, it will start growing itself it will start growing exact same shape, but on the tipping points of the geometry. Is that based on a ratio, right? Yep. As a ratio, it does the divide or whatever. I mean, it can be. Okay. It can be. But the point is that it's growing like this, right? So I'm going to show you a really basic shape, and we can take it to so sexy. So like this, and we can change the angle. And as you can see, actually, let me make it really small, because it's also heavy. See, like it yeah. Wow, so cool. And you can put it 90 degrees, and you can animate it. You can. Yeah, you start getting into animation with this, and it just gets ridiculously crazy, right? Yeah. And these are really, really basic examples, like because we need to cache geometry to be able to. But that's the. What do you mean by cache geometry? Every calculation has to be cached to the memory or something? Preferably, like it depends how heavy it is. Like when I send you that the geometry, remember of the spiral uncoiling, of that, like the geometry of the embryo. Yeah. Like I had to cache it, otherwise we just would just like wait every 2 minutes for the frame to go through. Oh, okay. Yeah, because there's a lot of points, it's heavy. Okay, so I'm just going to show you really basic shapes for now, and we're going to go deeper and deeper. And as someone who likes Illustrator, you might appreciate it. Me. Yay. So, because you can build, you can build different types. So at first I was like, oh, that's really cool. Like you can build this. Each one of those are just different recipes, right? So you call them? Yeah. And again, looks simple, and or you can go like this. See? So cool. You can layer them. It's endless awesome. Yeah. Cool. You'll see how when I designed this, I was like, what if when I tried to build the cables for the Houdini project, I was like, what if I project this geometry on top of a surface? And what happened, and that's what happened to be working amazingly, because that flower you'll see will wrap around geometry, and it will look like the cables running on top of it.
That's so cool.
You're going to go further, because these are basic ones.
Can you extrude this geometry, or like add like a spline to it and create like density and make Z depth as well?
And that's the next thing I'm going to show you. Yeah, like we go one by one, because we're starting with the basics, and
I'm getting a huge Houdini boner right now. I'm just going to point that out.
Okay, so for example, like this is an example of you grow a lot of geometry. See that? I don't know if it does it look pixelated to me?
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy dense. I love how this program can handle the geometry well too.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, nothing against Cinema 4D, because it's amazing. I love it, but it would just go, I'm dead. I'm done.
Yes, and I remember when I was doing the L system, and because you can do L system in Cinema as well, but the control you have in Houdini is beyond crazy, and also the file size is. When I built a certain pattern in Houdini, it was about 200 kilobytes. The same thing in Houdini was 90 megabytes.
Man.
So that was
it's really smart math and smart coding.
Yeah. The way it packs things is really smart. Okay, so we're going to go further. Really simple examples again, like that's one of the examples for the Z shape. Like if you want to build like some, and again, man, you can grow this, you can make it more dense, you can create more rules, you can make, for example, you can make it such that different points connect to other points with a spline, and the spline is sort of like a connecting cable. Yeah, the sky's the limit, really.
What's the biggest hurdle for somebody that wants to get into Houdini, you think? Is it the UI or the mindset?
Definitely not UI. It's definitely not UI. It's the mindset, because you just have to think a bit different. Because I know it's not like a satisfying answer. You need to think a bit different, like Apple think different. No, I would suggest to watch Rohan's Floating Islands, and just see how it works, because you are basically manipulating points. That's what you're doing. You can take a circle, and that's your foundational shape, and you can build amazing things just out of that circle. I don't think I can give you like a really good, satisfying answer to this question.
No, I'm just curious, because I mean that seems to be one of the bigger barriers for most people, including myself. I mean, I'm looking at what you're doing, and it's like, whoa, like I really want to have that in my life. I want more of it in my life, but just trying to figure out, when Adam
Swab was even Adam Swab, right? Like he's remarkably intelligent, right? Yeah. And he when he switched from Cinema to Houdini, it took him half a year to really become comfortable with it.
Yeah.
But now that was a while ago, because right now there's much more off-the-shelf tools. There's more expressions available, so there's just a larger user base. Yeah. So even if you're confused, you go on certain forums, you ask a question, you will get help.
I've known Adam since back when I was working at Prologue. When I first started getting into the industry, he was there, and I was always blown away by him. And I think that was about the time when he started getting into Houdini, and that was probably 6 or 7 years ago now. So he's been putting in a lot of work since then. We're talking about his class that he has on Learn Squared too. If people are interested in getting started on it and stuff, it's I think from Serjan. I haven't taken it, but from Serjan, it says it's Rohan's class, and then Adam's class helps with the entry point. So
yes, and Adam gives really, really good, solid foundation in the first week. Like if you want to understand UI, if you just want to understand the thinking and get comfortable with what to expect, really good framework, like 100%.
Cool.
And then I would recommend take Rohan's after that, because in the second week, I think in the third week, Adam goes more into building the procedural rigs, So if you want to do it, it's good, but it's a bit more advanced. I would suggest take the first week of atoms, then take Rohan's, and then come back to atoms. That's what I wish I would have done. Okay, so
there you go.
Let me show you this example of when we looked at this thing, which is the.
I make all that stuff by hand like a caveman in Illustrator, like a dummy.
So I'm going to show you the formula for this, right? The formula is very simple. You have certain numbers, and that's it. Like, that's the formula for this particular thing.
Mm-hmm. And you got that formula from the plant book?
I think so. Right. I think so. And but I know that if you write it in Python or Vex, it's going to be a much bigger thing. So the cool thing with Houdini is that you can combine else systems, you can combine Vex, Python, and C++. So it's like you can use the best of 4 different languages inside one environment. Okay, so in this one, I want to show you what's happening. So right now, I think we have an animation to make it grow from 0 till a certain number. So as you can see, it just follows certain rules, and the geometry grows. See that?
Yeah, it's so cool. You could do it live, and man, how dense can you go? Just as dense as you want? That's so
Absolutely.
Gnarly. Can we go closer into that?
Yeah.
I want to come over to your apartment, just hang out over your shoulder. Hey, do that. Try that with that.
Yeah. And see, in 1 week, maybe in a couple of weeks, in 3 weeks, when we show the other things that we're working on, that is like probably 10 steps above that. But this is important to understand how this works.
You can do so much with that, though. You can make like awesome pattern for a shirt or anything really. I mean, posters. It's just incredibly beautiful. Have you thought about doing that too? I mean, I know you made your business cards and stuff. So
notice how, for example, in this one, I think if we go and just change the, I believe it's this one. We're just going to go to 60. Boom, and now it's a hexagon.
Ah, that's cool. So you change the sides, the way
just
it transitions.
Angle. Yeah.
Oh, the angle. So from 90-degree angle to 60 degrees, it creates that. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, that's cool. That's cool how it draws out too, based on the tolerance. Is that a tolerance thing that it does that?
Look at it as growing. Let's say 1 is 1 year, 2 is 2 years, and that's how it's just growing. Yeah. And it's growing based on this particular rule.
That's so cool.
See, and once you get it, like you start to be more comfortable with
it. Like riding a bike then, huh?
Or learning a foreign language, absolutely. Okay, so I just want to show you a couple more, and we're going to go into more depth. Yeah, and Rohan gives better examples of like building trees and stuff like this. So I'm just going to show you like one example. It's not. And the cool thing, again, in the book, for example, they have different ratios. They explain the logic of. Basically, they deconstruct different architectures of different seeds. For example, certain plant grows to a certain limit, and then when it hits a certain limit, then it starts to produce something else, and then when it hits a certain limit, it produces something else. So when I was building this, dude, I built about 100 different setups for different purposes because of that.
That's so cool.
So I want to show you this one as well, and we're going to move forward.
So this is based on a ratio of growth, and then another spline comes off of that thing?
Yeah.
Is that what's happening?
Yeah.
Okay.
Correct. Yeah. And you will also see, again, Rohan explained this as well, and why this magic number is important, 137.5, because it will create this beautiful positionality of points. Harmonious positionality. Okay, so we're going to go into...
Which Houdini version are you using?
This is 16. This is the almost the last one.
Is this the best one to use, or the older one? More stable?
I wouldn't go... Definitely 15.5 is more stable, in my experience. What is important, if you do take training, for example, from Rohan, and it's done in 15.5, use 15.5, do not use 16. because they've changed quite a lot of important things in 16. You just need to be able to understand how it works in 15.5, and then you'll be able to translate it into the 16. But do not use training from one version and then use another version, because it might confuse you.
Gotcha.
That's. Give me one sec. I think I wanted to show you.
Yeah, I heard they made a big change, a big leap between the two versions. So
I wanted to show you the. Why did I? Shell design. I think that's this one. Again, real quick, that's spiral. And once you understand the different ratios of spiral, right? Like this is just one spiral, right? And what I'm doing, I'm running this. I think it's this one. Yeah. Like this. 1 second. Let me just remember what I was doing here. 200. Boom. See, now we have a shell.
It's interesting. How did you come about knowing that that was going to produce a shell?
Experiment. But you also, well, I mean, you can see that the foundation is the flower of life. See that?
Yeah. Sacred geometry
but there's certain
stuff.
Correct. And there's certain spacing between them.
The ratios of spacing.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. And then if you make several copies following a certain ratio, it will produce beautiful shell. But again, it starts with, well, in this case, okay, for example, in Houdini, we actually start with a line, and then we bend this line, right? Like that's, and then you bend it more, and then you copy it, and then you copy it more, and that's how you get a shape.
Yeah, that's cool.
Shit, sorry.
And you get super dense too. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me go back to this one. Let me see what I wanted to do. Like, let me show you. Like, you asked about the Z depth, right? Dude, actually, I want to go a little bit faster because I want to focus mostly on these guys.
Okay.
So, for example,
the contest that you won as well. You have that.
Yeah,
in there?
Because people have been asking about that more than anything else, and I just want to show how that works.
Someone said, this stuff looks sexy simply in the viewport alone says a lot about the theory and approach behind this. There you go. So
yeah,
I agree. I concur to that. It's a good point.
In a couple of weeks, we're going to show you something even more orgasmic for your eyes. Yeah.
Boner Jams. Houdini Boner Jams 2017.
Why is it?
That'll be the name of the stream.
No, don't do it.
Your mom or somebody's going to watch you, one of your family members be like, what's going on?
I was like, why is it not?
Some good questions. You guys keep the questions coming in. There's some good ones coming through. I'm going to try and put them into what we're talking about as we go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me show you exactly. I'm using. I just want to make sure that you guys see that I'm not using anything else. I'm using exactly all systems, and I'm going to use. Let's say a hexagon is 60 degrees. So we have a hexagon. See that?
Yeah, that's cool.
Right. So simple hexagon, and now. I apologize that I jumped back and forth. I want to show you why I did what I did, because I think it is important, because you can build this with pole extrusion and stuff like that. When I was doing this, like why I actually, my intention was to build the. One second, I'm gonna go.
You're big on your key shots too.
What's that?
I said you're big on your key shot too.
Key shot? What do you mean?
Isn't that what you're using for your presentations and stuff for these? Is it key shot, or are you using InDesign?
I think it's actually Photoshop.
Oh, it's Photoshop? Wow.
Yeah, and then I just exported it into PDFs and then combined PDFs together. Okay, so my intention, like I when I was doing this project, like I didn't want to just create a temple and use just standard modeling tools. I really wanted to use that project to understand and try learn something new.
Yeah.
And this thing is something I keep on my table. It's a sea urchin, and when I look at the video and some mathematics and of how it actually uncoils, because it grows, that actually was the inspiration to build a temple, to build what turned out to be a Houdini node. So here, let me go back to this one. You'll see that so you see a hexagon?
Yeah, I can see that.
And crashing. Okay, I don't know why I did that. One sec. What? That just happened.
I mistake. I meant to say you're using Keynote, not Keyshot for your
okay.
presentations.
Okay, so check this out. So we have a hexagon, and this hexagon is bent a certain way, and this hexagon is going to follow certain structure to build another hexagon on top of itself. Now notice this. Let me make it. See that?
Yeah.
So it starts growing the structure. We're going to go further. We're going to go, and now we only in generation 5. So if we go 15, boom, it gives you a shape like this. We can go further, and as you can see, it will start growing different structures on top of it. And the cool thing that if you just change, let's say 90 degrees, which is going to make it the rectangle, a square, boom. See that?
Yeah. And by changing the formula slightly.
Just a little bit. Yeah, just one parameter. But the cool thing with this, like,
did you discover this as you went, or is it something that your intention and you wrote it out and tried to figure it out as you went?
There was a lot of experimenting. I don't remember. There was just a lot of experimenting. There was a lot of trying. There was a lot of trying to understand, and then it just came to be. Yeah, but yeah. Okay, so for example, with this one, right? Like, this was the foundation, and I'm just gonna skip certain numbers, and I just want to show you what you can do with this. So you create a lot of different growth, and then you can build it into this massive structure, like this.
I think it's dense.
Yeah.
When you came upon this discovery, were you like, yeah, or?
Oh yeah, man. I'm not showing you a lot of things, but I discovered something else that might be showing in a couple of weeks, but it's just something amazing. Yeah. So yeah, the flexibility and power that this gives you to play with geometry is insane. Because yeah, for example, I built the foundational shape using L systems, but then you can use other Houdini tools to take it forward. So let's focus on these guys, right? Because that's so this is what it was. It actually, what you see, you see two temples on top of each other. That's why it looks this complex.
So nuts. Do you have a raw render of that? Because I'm curious to see how much post work you did. Because I don't think you did a lot of post, right? Just mostly color correction and levels and stuff.
Yeah. Yes, it was, because that was one of the engineering requirements for the contest. That it just has to be mostly mantra, and you can do some Photoshop, but it should not be like too much. So yeah, so we're gonna go into this now, and give me a sec.
So nuts.
So when I begin with this, like before doing anything, I deconstructed anatomy of a node first. Okay, so that it has the certain architectural structure. You have on the left you have something called selectable. On the right you have display. Then you have this node chamber. You have this different data gateways on top and on the bottom. The data comes from the top and exits from the bottom. So I deconstructed this first, and then started to build different cables. So in the beginning, I actually was building. Let me jump to close this. Close this.
It's getting packed up.
Yeah, man.
And you're using like an older Mac Pro, right? So people know.
Yeah. Yes. So that's, for now, that's what it is. You know what? It's not. Actually, this was my biggest fear for today's presentation, because see this, not responding, and that's what I was afraid was going to happen.
It's okay.
1 sec.
This is what we get when we do live, babies. Keep those questions coming through. I think, let's see, one other question is coming in. Serjan, do you ever show relationships between two very different systems and connect systems, such as the geometry of light and then the geometry of plants? You ever go and play with that and kind of like mismatch your recipes together to get something unique out of it?
Haven't tried that yet.
I'd like to see what light and plant babies look like. Serjan, light and plant art Houdini babies.
So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open another Houdini scene, and we're just going to go layer by layer, and then I'm going to show you how it's done, okay? Yeah. This way will help me focus better. Effects.
How much VRAM are you using by chance?
I don't know.
No.
I don't know. Come on. Okay, so like when I work in Houdini, I have one file where I have all the designs, and then I have another file where I have all the assembly. This works for me. Some people keep it all in one file. I just like it separate. So we're just gonna let it wait a little bit, let it cook. See, this is just not, like it's not something that I can fast forward, unfortunately.
That's okay.
The light.
It takes what it takes.
Yeah. So I just want to show you the anatomy of this one. We're gonna go into each layer, but I want to start with top. Like at first, in the beginning, I wanted to build. This actually is not procedural, meaning that if you change the shape of the temple, this is going to get screwed up, and that's why I found a different approach where I used L system to project it, and I'll show it to you. But this one, my intention was to show the complexity of different data channels that are going to the core of the node. And the cool thing is I wanted to show like different cables, and I wanted to have complete control over our directing different splines. So basically, if I were to take it to animation, you have unlimited control in terms of how it moves and stuff. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you exactly what it is. So just this thing on top, what you see is this. So this sort of kind of plain teal. And it was really time consuming. That's why I kind of dropped that idea later.
The node connections to our directing.
Yeah, because it's I was running out of time, and
how long did you have to do this project?
Man, I don't remember. I mean,
it's all blur.
It took me a month just to really solve the L systems again, because I wasn't trying to poly extrude stuff. I tried to actually build what I wanted to build, make it grow. When I was doing this, and I was like, okay, you know what? It's not going to be procedural, and my intention is to make it procedural. And what it means is that, okay, now my temple is hexagonal, but what if I want to change the shape? I want the system to be working in such a way that it can automatically rearrange cables depending depending on the shape of the temple. And that was a challenge. And but that's what I wanted to do. So with this guys, I just created like a bunch of different. Let me just show you. Man.
Now you have so much control though, because you're creating almost every strand, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Which allows you to art direct it. Yeah.
But also, the cool thing, I'm going to move on because I want to show you some other stuff. The cool thing is the bricks that you create once, you can reuse for something else. So it's basically in Houdini, it's like you are building mini software, mini plugins that you can repurpose for other things. So for example, here, we're going to go into different layers. So I think we have to wait. I'm going to disable the gateway. So as you can see,
so cool.
We have one cable, one set of cables, then we have another set of cables. Then, so if I go deeper, you start to see how there's they start to build up.
So nuts.
And
are you just taking the thing and duplicating it and then slightly augmenting the tolerance or something?
Correct. Yes. I'm going to show you that. I just want to show you the
I wish I could talk to the program like that, and then have it do what I want. Just change the tolerance on that one thing, and then it's does it. That'd be so cool. Eventually, I guess, right? Yeah.
But notice that it does create beautiful spacing and ratios between the cables in such a way that it actually doesn't really look overwhelming.
Yeah.
That it's still working.
It's organized chaos. It's incredible.
Yeah. Yeah, for example, I'm going to disable a couple of them. I just want to show you what I try to achieve with, and different cables actually fulfill different purpose. For example, with this edges one, I wanted to fuse the top chamber with the bottom chamber, and I created this set of cables that do fulfill that particular function. So actually, because we've run out of time, I wish I actually had intention for every single layer. And it feels so when you look at it, because that's what I try to create. Let me go into...
Not a lot of people are doing this with Houdini, right? You're kind of a trailblazer on this. It's not a lot of people are doing this geometry stuff, like intense geometry, are they?
I don't think so. Yeah. So I'm going to go...
So side effects must really love you then, because you're showing that there's a total different missed opportunity. It's not just for flames and blowing up buildings.
I don't think they love me.
No, they don't love you? Well, they gave you the freaking award. You won the thing.
Yeah.
That was from them too, right? Wasn't it?
It was. Yeah, it was. Yeah.
That's good. Why don't you think they love you?
It took a while to get. It took a while to get the prizes. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Like a long time. Unfortunately.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
Detailing. So, and as you can see, those are different levels of detail, and you can go more and more and more, and you can use different geometry for different purpose. For example, you can in my intention when I was rendering this, different geometry was actually light. I tried to use certain things to emit light. Hold on, let me disable this one, and we're just going to focus on.
You can take this shape and bring it into Maya and convert it into lines, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, you now with Houdini Engine, right? You can take it to Cinema and do whatever you're comfortable doing inside Cinema. So, but so now I just want to show you how this is done, and there's so many there's so many layers, and yes, they look like there's a lot of noise when you enable them, but when you render, they don't. They look beautiful, and the way I made the cables look like let me just open the Photoshop, because the thing that I'm most proud of, that really worked out, what I really wanted to fulfill is, and we're just going to wait for the Photoshop. Come on, baby.
When you call it baby, does it work a little better?
I'm just not. Wait. Okay, so see this part?
Yeah.
So I know it's not crisp, but you can really see how different cables mesh together. See that, and different patterns. Those actually just different cables overlaying with each other, and that's why it looks the way it looks. Yeah.
Can we just stay in there for a little bit? I just want to take a nap in that deliciousness. And that is so.
And see, but also
gnarly.
my intention also was to make it feel kind of ancient and sacred. That's why not just make it digital, not just make it like Intel chip, or I wanted to create those elements of feeling ancient. That's why I looked at different temples and I tried to make it feel like actually like this in the like.
You use nature a lot for your muse.
Yeah, actually, because again, don't settle for less. I tried to find a metaphor. I tried to find something in nature that I could reuse. And when I found how trees work, like how they connect with each other. There's a particular hotel in Vancouver called the Sylvia Hotel, and dude, it's like the whole building is all of those.
Ficus tree.
What's that?
I think it's a ficus tree, right? Isn't that what they're called?
I don't know what it's called, but I was like when I was like I'm doing this. Like I want this to look exactly this way. That's why certain designs feel that there's a harmony of straight lines and there's also some curvy lines. Yeah, because I wanted to make it feel like it was handcrafted. I guess that's how I try to visually communicate that.
It really does feel like that. I remember when you first sent it to me, you sent me like an email and like, hey, this is my. I'm like, whoa, dude! Like I had to take a moment and like really soak it in because. It was very authentic, and I think there was like hints of nature in there, but I hadn't seen anything that like deliciously that complex before. I've seen some stuff like, oh, that's cool. Like, I think is it Man vs. Machine? Simon does a lot of amazing stuff, really heavy, intense Houdini stuff, but he has his own style. Whereas I feel like you've discovered your own here, and when you showed me those renders, I was just completely blown away. People are all like, orgasming in the chat too. So
let me show you exactly how it's done because I think that stop saying that.
Artgasm.
Okay. Okay. So now.
Gotta have fun. Yeah.
Yes. I'm gonna disable this guy. I just want to show you how this works, and as you can see, actually, what I did, dude, this was an accident.
Finding this one right here?
I was like, what if I try to do this? And when I did, I was like, wow. And then, you don't sleep for a couple of days. But, I mean, no, really. So with this one, so I designed this inside L Systems, right? Like this is L System shape that I showed you before that, right? And what I'm doing here, I'm changing I'm resampling the shape. I'm creating more points, so I have more density. So when it gets wrapped, so that it wraps around the geometry really well. On this side, I have the actual. And we just have to wait.
It's okay. It's worth it.
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is the shape that I'm going to project the geometry onto. So I'm just going to make it like this. Now, Houdini has a really cool operator called raise up. So now look what happens. And we have to wait a little bit. Yeah, like if you practicing patience, I know you can do it, at a bank and here. Like it's
eventually you get a bigger, powerful, more gnarly machine, But no matter what machine you get, it'll never be fast enough to get what you want. I know, I've realized that one. I was like, I'll buy this computer. It's gonna be super expensive, and it's gonna be doing it. It does. I'm at the point I'm gonna push it even harder.
So luckily, this one is multi-threaded. Some nodes in Houdini are not multi-threaded, but as you can see,
damn, dude.
Hold on, this is not. Let me just make it into.
That's dense as hell. Is your presentation available online anywhere? Peeps are asking.
Yeah. I think I took it off the website. I'm gonna put it back on the website. Let me. Why is it not doing this? One sec. Consciousness. This. So I'll just show you one example. Okay. Because I didn't know which one's going to calculate faster or slower. But this is an example when you have a geometry, and I'm just going to show you. This is a geometry on top.
Wow.
And what I'm doing,
so cool.
and I'm projecting this geometry onto this mesh, and when it does that, it creates patterns that I guess like this, for example. See? And we're going to go a little bit further. I just want to show you a couple more. I mean, this is the foundation to experiment with race up. And we're going to go, let's look at the other one. Data veins core. You know what? Next time I'm just going to bake it out. Come on.
Is there smoke coming from your computer?
Okay, so this would be another example, right? And but you just trust me. There's nothing. It's the same principle. You have one geometry. Like in my case, it was this geometry of. I'm gonna put it over there. No, erase up. Delete. Yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts. It's incredibly beautiful. Discovering this, how long did it take? The time period? Did it take weeks, a month, months, or I guess it's hard to say that to those things, right? Because everything you know to this point is the extension of what you've been learning for your life.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
But the key thing again, now it might look simple. I was figuring out how to create a shape and then how to create a temple. It took me a month to create a temple because I didn't know how to. I didn't know the syntax. I didn't know how it works. I spent the whole month trying to understand it, and it was worth it.
Yeah.
Because as you can see, like I have different layers, and then now I make. Well, let's look at this one, and it's not reading. Dude, apologies.
That's okay. Doing this live with this kind of complexity is to be expected. So I don't think anybody's upset or anything too. So.
Because I do want to make it.
I have one person who's really irate, but I'm just joking. Nobody cares. Everybody's totally fine. We all understand because we all work in this space and we all have to deal with the same kind of things. And every program has its own issues. So. Yeah,
but I just want to show you how using exact same principle, for example, with projecting geometry, projecting that geometry onto another mesh, and then I started to. Let me disable this. Boom, I started to create different lights. Like just different patterns in different parts of the geometry.
Could you go closer into that geometry? I'm just curious what it's really close. Wow.
And let's look on this one. See.
Man.
So that's what's behind it, right? And then, so here I'm using something called carve. So this is again, dude, it's the same geometry, absolutely same L system. You just playing. I also play with carve. Carve, you just cut out different parts of the geometry in different places, and it produces stuff like this. And then I carve it more, and then it gives me only those points, and then I render those points out later for light.
That's so rad.
So let's look at this one quickly. Again, see, just a geometry, projecting geometry.
So you take the geometry you make, project it on the geometry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And now, and then, see. So and those, again, when I was doing this, I created 20 different layers, and just different layers had different ratios of separation between each other. Mm-hmm. And that's what helped me do this. Let me look at this on top. No, it didn't. Dude, it's 2, and it's not even...
It's okay. We're going to do more of these if you're okay with it.
Yeah.
We got a couple questions come in, and if you guys have any more questions, some good questions are coming in today, guys. Thanks. Do you think your work could have further application than art and media?
Oh, yeah.
For you personally, yeah.
You mean for me personally or scientific purpose?
Viz dev, anything like helping scientists or like creating like beautiful data to captivate imagination or something, or and education, whatever it might be. What about you? Like you personally, as your work, is it going to be more of like an artist experience, or is it are you thinking about doing it, and something else with it?
It as with anything, it starts with being curious about something, right? You experiment. It's kind of cool shape, right? The stuff that you and I, for example, designing now, is for me is the manifestation of a lot of research that because the stuff we're going to show, and I don't like calling it stuff, the animation, the piece of work. I'm being mindful not to name things, and we'll have a lot of ratios and a lot of things that are discovered, by science embedded into it. And I think it just I don't think I'm giving a satisfying answer. I'm sorry, man. Like I'm trying to, I'm kind of filtering
maybe
myself.
You're discovering it, and you're searching for it, and you're going to find it as you go too. So I think what people are getting at is the art that they're seeing and that you're making is almost beyond the frivolous endeavor of media and art creation, almost, if that makes sense. There's a bigger purpose possibly for it. I think that's what people are
I think so. And it's like if you look at Interstellar, right? When they tried to create visualization of the black hole, they actually found there was a scientific discovery because of that work. Do you know that?
I heard about that. I actually had the book, the science behind it. Kip.
Yeah. So, but
Kip
something. Yes, he's from, I think, either from NASA. I think he was JPL. Yeah. I think he is, or Caltech or something. So, but basically, them trying to come up with proper visualization that led them to a certain scientific discovery as well. So, what I'm doing, I'm just trying to create more beautiful work, but not also just not just have a pretty shape, but also that it has certain function behind it. And I'm trying to get as close as possible to getting ratios of certain shapes that are found in mechanics and in biology and chemistry inside my designs, because I believe that our body is wired a certain way, and I think if you're using the same sort of geometry and ratios that are present inside your body will recognize it. That's why we like certain harmony, we like certain symphony. It's like you recognize yourself in it, because you have all of that stuff. You have all those amazing mathematics and that geometry inside you. And it's interesting, Ash, how we take each other for granted. I mean, how we take ourselves for granted. Like, oh, this is a really cool iPhone, this is a really cool camera, but like the architecture and geometry of you is like beyond, like, massively awesome. Like, take
people do that though. That's something I always found really odd, is we lose sight of the brilliancy of life itself and the authenticity of uniqueness. Yeah, it seems to be a common issue.
Would that be okay to show just a small test of that embryo geometry?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, and we'll wrap it up. There are a couple more questions, and we'll wrap it up. We'll do another 10 minutes. How's that sound?
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Bring the questions in, guys. We got 10 more minutes. Good questions. I posted a link to the science behind Interstellar. You guys were talking about it. Ironically, they were talking about it in the chat, and then you mentioned that, so I thought that was pretty ironic. But there's the book that I have on my shelf. I haven't gone through it. I flipped through it, and I was like, well, this is really interesting, but it's very dense. And then I went off to go draw something. So, yeah.
So for example, like knowing and studying certain ratios, knowing and studying, this is just a test that we're kind of experimenting with.
Yeah.
But like growth of geometry, and look what it produces, right? And now we have 20 different layers that are working, that in compositing. Again, another cool thing with Houdini, right? Like just tweaking just one slight parameter gives you sort of another layer that you can use later in compositing for detailing.
Yeah.
I just love that shape, man. Like
it's interesting because it started to look like a crust of a tree almost as it was building those, like, kind of the netting of it. Yeah, show those, man. These are tests that Serjan's been putting together. They're incredible. They're just nuts. Oh, that tolerance part, that was cool. Yeah.
That's not the video that has it. Like the other version
There's
has
that one that
the
kind of snaps to it. Yeah.
Gotta be not this one. That's July. It's gotta be closer to.
Yeah, that stuff is nuts.
Not this one, no. Maybe we can do it another time. I'll just prepare better and.
Yeah, it's fine. This is all really cool stuff, though. I mean, the things that you're creating and how you're building it, and I think it's really intriguing. A lot of people that are here. I think a lot of people that are in the chat are designers or artists that are, looking for another way of expressing themselves, and seeing what you're doing is really interesting. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me next time. I'll just be more prepared for this.
Yeah, no problem. A question that came in, where do you learn expressions? Because Rohan doesn't explain them all on his hard surface modeling, and it's not easy to find a good tutorial about the expression. I don't know. Do you know of a good spot for that, or is this something you discover as you go?
So hard surface modeling, he's training, it's mostly he's got like VDB modeling, and I don't know if there's many expressions you can use because it's hard surface. But he is using expressions in this one, which I found very useful. Let me show you. In motion graphics as well. Like he's building the whole setup, and there's certain expressions that he's using that and Tagma's using a lot of stuff, but it's a bit more advanced. I would recommend this one a lot. It shouldn't be daunting because I was really afraid of that word expressions, but eventually you just get used to it, or you understand that you only need like 10 to 20 things that you just need to know, and it becomes really easy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next question: can you save this project and reopen in Cinema with parametric sliders?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
You can. Yeah, you can, absolutely can.
Next question: I was wondering if these designs could be translated as audio. Is there like an audio driver that you can put into these things and then have it react?
Oh yeah. So when I last week when I told you I'm discovering something about how to animate in Houdini and the power it has, so the answer is yes, and I'll show you an example in 2 or 3 weeks, because what you can do in Houdini with animation, and especially using sound to drive animation, is freaking unbelievable. Like it's beyond any plugin that I've seen. Not even with there's certain Red Giant plugins. Cinema allows you to do a couple things. I think there's a couple effectors, but in Houdini, man, like it's power. So I'll show it to you later.
Awesome. Last question, I guess, is have you ever looked at platonic solids and used it as inspiration for something of this sort? So
yeah,
I'm sure
absolutely.
you do, because you're like geometry, and it's all based on and platonics are the best. So.
And I think with you can. I don't know how they called. I think it's called solids or something. Platonic solids. There you go. So yeah, you can.
Just getting inspired by the math, and that also I've seen a lot of those ratio math things broken down in that book. Damn, I can't read it from here. It's that one book that you are really big on. The one that's gold and has the red writing on the cover.
Okay.
I forget the name of it.
The Power of Limits?
Power of Limits. That's it.
Yeah.
It's right there. I just can't see it. That's a fail on the design behalf of the book cover, because it's gold and then it's red writing, which is the same value. So it doesn't stand out at all. It's nice looking, but it's not a good design. Awesome. Well, is there anything else you wanted to leave with us, humbled non-wizardries peeps?
Not really.
Hogwarts. What?
If you have questions, email me. I'd be glad to answer them.
Maybe what you could do is gather all those questions. One thing I do is I get a lot of crazy random questions, or ones that would take me so much time away from what I want to be doing, which is what you should be doing, is focusing on your work. But then maybe you could bring all those questions to the stream and then blast them out there and tell everybody just come here, because that's what I do. I go, I can answer a lot better dynamically, like, you know, through the stream, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is something. It's up to you, because I don't know if you want to just get barraged and all of a sudden you can't do anything other than respond to emails. So yeah, but that's really awesome of you to offer that to peeps. So
the cool thing that I want to show later is exactly the making of those, because those are the things that are really juicy.
Juicy goodness. Can't wait to show all that hotness.
Why is it not? Okay, you know, dude, I moved. I told you, like, I've been like a nomad for the past week because my place is under renovation, and I just moved to my buddy's place last night.
No problem.
Yeah, so I'm a little bit scattered.
Don't worry about it. You did great.
Yeah.
I think everybody was highly entertained, and I think everybody enjoyed it. Let's give Serjan a round of applause. Awesome. Good job. Thanks for coming on again. We got to set up Momo, if you're here, we got to set up another time to have Serjan on. Whenever he wants, we could just make it happen. So, yeah, because these are great. And I think it's, yeah, I'm super intrigued every time about getting more involved with learning more about Houdini and how it works and all that good stuff. So, yeah.
Okay, then.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, everybody, we'll say goodbye, and we'll catch you guys on the next stream. Mache will be here tomorrow, so don't miss it. All right, peoples?
See ya.
Peace out, everybody. Mwah.